What if the secret to getting everything you desire isn't in chasing it harder, but in making it feel so normal you almost forget you ever wanted it? What if the life you've been dreaming about doesn't arrive through intensity, but through quiet familiarity? Imagine reaching a point where your desire feels as natural as breathing, so obvious, so ordinary, that its absence would feel strange. Tonight I want to show you how the extraordinary begins the moment you stop treating it like something extraordinary. Good evening, my dear friends. Tonight I don't want to give you another method, another technique, or something else to add to the long list of things you feel you need to do right. Instead, I want to offer you one simple quality, just one, because this single quality is what separates those who seem to manifest effortlessly from those who study, practice, and still find themselves stuck in the same place year after year, asking the same questions and holding the same unfulfilled desires. That quality is naturalness, not excitement, not intense passion, not even faith in the way most people define it. I'm talking about something much quieter, the feeling that your desire being fulfilled is completely normal, ordinary, and expected. Let me give you an image. Picture two men. The first has just won the lottery. He's overwhelmed. His hands shake, his voice cracks, and he keeps repeating, "I can't believe this is happening." His entire body reacts as if something unbelievable has just occurred. Even though it's positive, his system treats it like a shock. Now think of the second man. He's been wealthy for decades. He checks his bank account the same way you check the weather. Large transactions don't excite him. They don't disturb him. Money to him is just part of life, like breathing or gravity. It's there, constant, unremarkable. One of these men is experiencing wealth. The other is living as wealth. That difference may seem small, almost philosophical, but it changes everything. Because here's a truth most people never hear clearly. What feels natural to you stays. What feels extraordinary, unbelievable, or too good to be true tends to slip away. Not because you did something wrong, but because your identity doesn't match it yet. The lottery winner didn't lose his money just because of poor choices. He lost it because deep down, wealth never felt like home. It felt like a temporary visit. Naturalness is what makes something permanent. What you truly become sticks. What you only experience for a moment fades. If you look at your life honestly, you'll notice this pattern everywhere. There are areas where things just work for you. Maybe it's your intelligence. You don't wake up wondering if you're still smart. You don't try to prove it every day, you just are. And because of that, it remains stable. For others, it might be their health, creativity, sense of humor, or how easily they connect with people. In these areas, there's no struggle, no anxiety, no effort to maintain it. It feels natural, so it stays. Now look at the areas where you struggle. Maybe it's relationships, money, career, or even your well-being. In those areas, you'll notice something important. You're trying to get them, not being someone who already has them. You approach them like problems to solve instead of conditions that belong to you. And that subtle tension, that reaching, that effort to become something you don't yet feel you are, is the real barrier. Not your past. Not your circumstances, not other people. It's the fact that your desire still feels special, distant, and not fully yours. I once spoke with a woman after a lecture. She was confident, successful, and clearly capable. She told me, "I can manifest small things easily, parking spaces, little coincidences, small opportunities. But the things that truly matter, real love, financial freedom, the career I dream of, they don't come no matter how much I try." So I asked her, "When you think about finding a parking space, how do you feel?" She paused and said, "I don't really feel anything, I just expect it. It's normal." Then I asked, "And when you think about the bigger things?" Her entire expression changed. Her eyes widened, her breath quickened. "I feel excited," she said, "almost overwhelmed, like it would change everything." That was the answer. She could manifest the small things because they felt ordinary to her. But the bigger desires felt huge, life-changing, almost unbelievable. And that feeling itself was creating distance. She was imagining those desires from the perspective of someone who didn't have them yet. She was feeling how amazing it would be, instead of how normal it already is. The universe doesn't respond to the size of your desire. It responds to the state you hold. If your state says, "This would be incredible if it happened," then you're still in the reality where it hasn't happened. Excitement is not the problem in the beginning. When a desire first appears, it's natural to feel inspired by it. But if, after weeks or months, it still feels thrilling, overwhelming, or unbelievable, then it hasn't become part of you yet. And that's why it hasn't stayed. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings. People think strong emotion creates manifestation. They try to feel more, push harder, build intensity, and generate excitement. But intense emotion often carries a hidden message. I don't have this yet. Excitement, at its core, usually means this would be wonderful. And inside that statement is the assumption that it's not here now. Naturalness speaks differently. It doesn't shout. It doesn't celebrate. It simply says, this is how things are. There's no gap, no distance, no sense of waiting. The desire isn't something coming toward you, it's something you already live inside. Your goal is not to suppress emotion, but to deepen it. Move beyond the surface level excitement into a calm, steady sense of already having. I once worked with a young man who wanted to become a successful writer. He was disciplined, consistent, and talented. He wrote every day, visualized his success every night, and truly felt the emotions of achieving it. Still, year after year, he faced rejection. One day I asked him, "What does being a successful writer feel like to you?" His face lit up. "It would feel amazing," he said, "like I finally made it, like everything I've done is paid off." And I stopped him right there. That's the problem, I told him. To him, success was something that would transform him into someone else, something extraordinary, something he wasn't sure he was allowed to become. And because of that, it stayed out of reach. So I asked him another question. "How do you feel about your ability to read?" He looked confused. "I just read. I've always been able to. It's nothing special." Exactly. There was no excitement, no doubt, no effort to prove it. It was simply part of who he was. And that's the shift you need to make. Not forcing belief, not chasing feelings, but allowing your desire to become as normal to you as something you've always had. Because in the end, you don't receive what you desperately want. You live what feels natural to you. Exactly. You don't treat your ability to read as something special. You don't wake up feeling emotional or overwhelmed about it. You don't try to prove it, protect it, or chase it. You simply read, because that's who you are. It's normal. It's effortless. And that exact feeling, that quiet, unremarkable, unquestioned sense of being, is what you need to develop about being a successful writer. I could see him struggling with this idea. He asked me, "How can I feel natural about something I'm not yet?" And that's where the deeper issue was. He believed he wasn't a successful writer yet. But the truth is, everything is first created in consciousness. That's the only place where it begins. And in that space, you can be a successful writer right now. Not trying to become one, not hoping for it someday, but being it, naturally, the same way you are naturally a reader. So I gave him a simple practice. I told him to stop imagining success as something in the future. Stop feeling the excitement of finally making it. Instead, assume that you've already been successful for years. Then take it one step further. Imagine how ordinary it feels. Picture yourself checking your book sales the same way you check the weather, casually, without any emotional reaction. Imagine book signings as just another part of your routine week. Interviews? Just something you do, nothing dramatic. Let success feel familiar. Let it feel so normal that it almost becomes boring. Let it feel like something that has always been there. He looked at me confused. "You want me to make success boring?" "No," I said. "Make it natural. The way your heartbeat is natural. The way reading is natural. Things that are natural don't demand your attention or your energy to exist. They don't need to be maintained through effort. They just are." That's how your success should feel. So quietly yours that you barely think about it. Over the next few months, I saw a shift in him. Not something loud or dramatic, but something much deeper. He stopped talking about his dreams with that urgent, almost desperate energy. The intensity faded. The need for something to happen disappeared. In its place came a calm, steady confidence. He started carrying himself differently, not trying to appear confident, but simply being it. His writing changed too, not because he forced it, but because it was coming from a different place. When someone writes to prove themselves, there's always a subtle tension in it, a need to impress, a pressure to be enough. But when someone writes from a place of knowing who they are, the work feels different. It flows more naturally. It feels grounded and real. Even the way he submitted his work changed. He no longer sent it out hoping to be accepted. He sent it the way a professional offers their work, with quiet certainty, not fragile hope. Within 6 months, he got his first book deal. Within 2 years, he had 3 books published. But here's the most important part. When that success showed up in his physical world, he wasn't shocked. He didn't react with disbelief or overwhelming emotion. He didn't call people in excitement, struggling to process it. He received the news calmly, almost like he already knew it was coming. It didn't feel like a surprise. It felt right. It felt natural. It felt inevitable. That's how you know you've truly reached this state. Not when you feel excited about your desire, but when its arrival feels obvious, when it matches who you already are inside. So how do you build this kind of naturalness? First, understand where it comes from. Naturalness comes from familiarity. Anything feels natural when it becomes familiar to you, when you've experienced it so often that it blends into the background of your life. You read easily because you've done it thousands of times. You trust your intelligence because you've lived with it your whole life. It has become part of your identity. So the way to make your desire feel natural is simple. Make it familiar. Don't imagine it once in a powerful emotional moment and stop there. Return to it again and again. See it repeatedly until the emotional charge starts to fade. At first, your imagination will feel exciting. Every detail will feel important. That's normal. You're experiencing something new, and new things naturally carry energy. But if you keep returning to the same scene, something begins to change. The excitement softens. The scene starts to feel familiar. The details stop feeling extraordinary and start feeling normal. Most people make a mistake here. They think the feeling is fading, so something is wrong. Then they try to bring the excitement back, to make it feel intense again. But that's the opposite of what you should do. The fading of excitement is not failure, it's progress. It means the desire is becoming natural to you. When the scene feels ordinary, when it feels routine, when it no longer surprises you, that's exactly where you want to be. Stay with it beyond the excitement. Keep imagining until your desire stops feeling like something you're trying to get and starts feeling like something that is simply part of your life. Not a future event, not a dream, just a fact. Think about something you have right now that you once wanted so badly. It could be your home, your relationship, your career, or even a level of recognition you once thought was far out of reach. There was a time when it felt distant, uncertain, almost impossible. Now remember how it felt when you first got it. That moment of disbelief, that feeling of, I can't believe this is mine. You kept noticing it, appreciating it, feeling small bursts of excitement every time it crossed your mind. It felt special. But look at it now. It's no longer something you marvel at every day. It has blended into your life so naturally that you barely think about it. It's just your home, your partner, your work. You live with it the same way you live in your own body, without effort, without constant awareness, without emotional intensity. It simply exists as part of your normal life. That is naturalness. And that is the exact feeling you need to create about your desires before they show up in your physical world. You want your desire to feel like it already belongs in your life in a quiet, ordinary way, just like the things you already have. I remember a businessman who came to me. He wanted to grow his small company into something much bigger, but every time he imagined it, he felt a mix of excitement and doubt. He said, "It feels too big. When I picture myself running a large company, it feels like I'm pretending to be someone else." I told him to stop imagining the big breakthrough moments. Stop focusing on the dramatic transformation. Instead, imagine the simple, everyday reality of already being that person. I asked him to picture answering emails, sitting in a regular meeting, making a normal business decision on a random day. Not a major decision, not something life-changing, just something routine, something boring. He struggled with this at first. His mind wanted excitement. It wanted the big moment, the highlight, the proof that everything had changed. But I kept guiding him back. Find the ordinary moment. Find the quiet part of the life you want. Live there in your imagination. So he did. Night after night, he imagined himself in those simple situations, running a business like it was just part of his life. Slowly, something shifted. What once felt impossible started to feel possible. What once felt too big started to feel normal. It stopped feeling like he was pretending and started to feel like he was remembering who he was. Within about a year and a half, his business grew into the exact level he had imagined. And when it happened, he said something interesting. He said, "I can barely remember when this felt unusual. Now it just feels like me." That's the shift. Now I want to give you a very simple but powerful approach. I call it the boring technique. The name isn't exciting, but it describes it perfectly. Take whatever you desire, no matter how big it is, and stop imagining the peak moment of receiving it. Instead, find the most ordinary moment of already having it. If you want financial freedom, don't imagine a huge amount of money suddenly appearing. Imagine checking your bank account casually on a random day. Imagine paying a bill without feeling stress. Imagine buying something without checking the price, not carelessly, but because you naturally know you have enough. If you want love, don't focus on the big romantic moments. Imagine a quiet evening with someone who truly cares about you, doing something simple, talking, laughing, or even sitting in comfortable silence. Let it feel normal, like it's been part of your life for a long time. If you want success in your creative work, don't imagine awards or recognition. Imagine a regular day doing what you love. Let it feel like something you do every day, something that's already part of your identity. The simpler the scene, the more powerful it becomes, because ordinary means natural, and natural is what allows something to not only come into your life, but stay there. I also want to share a story about a woman who wanted to move from a small apartment to a house by the ocean. By most standards, it seemed unrealistic. Her income wasn't high, she had no savings for a down payment, and the homes she wanted were expensive. Anyone looking from the outside would have said it wasn't possible. But she understood something important. She didn't imagine receiving the house. She didn't focus on the moment she would get the keys or the first morning waking up there. Instead, she chose a very small, simple scene. She imagined herself making coffee in the morning and casually looking out at the ocean. That was it. No excitement, no dramatic emotion, no wow moment. Just a quiet, everyday experience. Making coffee, seeing the ocean, living her life. She repeated this scene every day for months, and over time it became so familiar to her that it started to feel real. She told me there were mornings when she would wake up half asleep and actually expect to see the ocean outside her window. And when she didn't, it felt slightly off, like something wasn't right. That's the state you're aiming for. The moment when your imagined reality feels more normal to you than your current surroundings. Within a year, things shifted for her in ways that seemed surprising to others. Opportunities appeared, circumstances aligned, and she ended up living in a house by the ocean. To everyone else, it looked like a remarkable chain of events. But to her, it felt completely natural, like life had simply caught up with what she already knew. She was already living in that house. When I went to visit her, I noticed something very specific. She made her coffee and casually looked out at the ocean, but there was no excitement in it. No sense of amazement. It was simple, calm, and completely natural, like something she had been doing her entire life. She smiled and said, "The strange thing is, I don't even remember when this stopped feeling special. Now it just feels like where I've always belonged." Now I want to address something that many of you might be thinking. You might ask, isn't this just denial? If I act like something is natural when it's clearly not in my life yet, am I not just lying to myself? That question comes from misunderstanding what naturalness really means. Naturalness is not about pretending your current physical reality is different. It's not about ignoring your circumstances. It's about your inner state, your consciousness. And your consciousness is the starting point of everything. It's not something that needs approval from the outside world. It's the place where reality begins. Think about when you first learned to read. At that time, reading felt difficult, unfamiliar, maybe even impossible. It was something other people could do, not you. But at the same time, there were people for whom reading was completely normal. For them, it required no effort or thought. Their natural ability wasn't denying your struggle. It was simply their reality. Now look at you. Reading is easy. It's automatic. It feels like it has always been part of you. But the ability itself didn't change. Your relationship to it did. Your awareness shifted until it became natural. The same is true for your desires. Right now, they may feel far away or unnatural, but that's not because they're impossible. It's because your consciousness hasn't settled into them yet. It hasn't accepted them as home. Your work is to bring your awareness to that place, to make what feels distant feel familiar, to make what feels unlikely feel normal. This is not denying reality. It's understanding how reality is formed. There's one more thing about naturalness that is extremely important, especially in a practical sense. It completely changes how you experience waiting. When you're hoping and longing for something, time feels heavy. Every day that passes without results feels like a reminder that it hasn't happened yet. You start looking for signs, questioning yourself, wondering what you're doing wrong. Waiting becomes uncomfortable, even painful, because each moment reinforces the idea that your desire is still missing. But when something feels natural to you, your relationship with time changes completely. Think about the sunrise. You don't sit there anxiously waiting for it, worrying if it will happen. You know it will. So you go about your day, and it comes. Think about the seasons. You don't panic during winter, wondering if spring will ever arrive. You trust that it's part of how life works. When your desire feels natural within you, you relate to it in the same way. There's no desperation, no constant checking, no fear that it might not happen. There's just a quiet certainty. And that state, the absence of anxious waiting, is incredibly powerful. Because life doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your inner state. And the state of someone who is calm and certain is the state of someone who already has what they desire. That is the state that creates results. So tonight I want to leave you with something simple but important. Look at your desires, especially the ones that truly matter to you, the ones you've carried for a long time, the ones that still feel intense, emotional, almost out of reach. Those are the ones that need to become natural. Those are the ones where you need to remove the sense of distance, the feeling that they would be extraordinary if they happened. Because the moment something stops feeling extraordinary and starts feeling normal is the moment it begins to truly belong to you. And that is where everything changes. The process is the same no matter what you desire. Find the most ordinary version of it already being part of your life. Not the big moment, not the celebration, not the dramatic change, but the quiet, everyday version. The random Tuesday afternoon, the simple morning routine, the version that feels so normal you almost overlook it. Then return to that scene again and again, not as a one-time emotional experience, but consistently, night after night. Stay with it long enough for the excitement to fade. Let that fading happen, because what replaces it is far more powerful. Excitement turns into familiarity. Familiarity slowly becomes assumption, and eventually that assumption settles into a calm, steady knowing. That's the point you're aiming for. Let it feel boring. Let it feel routine. Let it feel as natural as your heartbeat. Something that doesn't need your attention to exist. Something that just is. Because when your desire reaches that level inside you, when it feels so normal that its absence would feel strange, that's when things begin to shift. When not having it feels more unnatural than having it, that's when it moves into your life. And it doesn't happen through force. It doesn't happen because you tried harder or wanted it more. It happens quietly, almost unnoticed, through the steady power of something that feels real and certain within you. It comes from that inner feeling of course, that quiet sense of, this is just how things are, that calm understanding of, what else could be true? Stay in that state, make it familiar, let it become your mental home. Live there internally until it feels like your natural place to be, and then watch what happens. What you once chased, what you once struggled for, begins to show up without effort. Not as a big dramatic moment, but as something that simply becomes part of your life, obvious, normal, and expected. Before we close, I want to leave you with this. Stop seeing your greatness as something far away, something you need to reach someday. Instead, begin to see it as something already within you, quiet, steady, and completely natural. Make that your identity. Make that your normal. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time, stay grounded in that feeling, and remember, this is Muhin. So in the end, it was never about chasing harder or wanting more. It was about becoming so aligned with your desire that it felt like a natural part of who you are. When what you once dreamed of becomes as ordinary as your daily breath, that is when everything shifts. There is no struggle, no force, only a quiet certainty that this is simply your reality. And from that place, life doesn't surprise you with what you want. It reflects it effortlessly. So walk away from here not hoping for greatness, but knowing it is already yours.